Hello everybody, this is Polish Up Your Polish Lesson 3. You already know everything about Polish alphabet, so as a short reminder, let's look at the alphabet once again. 32 letters, 23 consonants, and 9 vowels. Each letter is represented by one single specific sound. It is called a kind of a phonetic language, which Polish of course is, but that's not all. I mean, there are certain letters that run together with another letter, and they make a different sounds when they're one after another. This is called a digraph. In English, we can find I would say a lot. I don't know if there are a lot of them. Well, some of them, yeah. But in Polish, there are a couple of digraphs, and today we're gonna talk about them, and you will see that this is not as bad as you might think. I mean, okay, well, I'm talking about the Polish language as a phonetic language, so when you see a letter you pronounce this letter as it is, but sometimes two letters combined together they make yet another sound, and you should be familiar with those sounds as well because they're kind of important in Polish. Okay, so we're going to talk about that sounds in this lesson, of course. But before I explain them, let's look at this a little matrix I've made to make you recognize all the sounds that all the digraphs that I'm going to talk about. So here they are. Now, before I get any further, try to hit the pause button here and try to pronounce all the single letters that you can see. Now, why is it? Well, simply because I want you to make a kind of a distinction between the single letters and the letters in digraphs. Okay, you do not need to do that if you feel like confident of pronouncing or spelling those letters, but if you're not, just try to remind yourself of those letters, of those single sounds, and then you can continue with the digraphs, because I believe it's a good exercise for you to make, first of all, to make yourself the sounds of single letters, and then to repeat after me when it comes to digraphs. Okay, so starting from the top to the bottom, from letter Z to letter H, and then from letter C to letter S, from left to right. Okay, so this is kind of an exercise, and if you're ready with that, so we can continue with the digraphs. As you can see, there are only 7 of them, and most of them you will find kind of similar to English language. So this is a good news, but we're gonna start with something even easier than that, because just take a look at those 2 digraphs. Here they are. R and Z is the equivalent of letter Z with a dot. J. Alright. R and Z, this is the same sound as letter Z with a dot. Simple as that. And letter C and H, very popular in plenty of languages actually, stands in Polish language for letter H itself, much like U and O with this slash. So right off the bat, this is the simplest thing that can be, and I believe this is a good news. On the other hand, there's one little issue with this R and Z digraph, because in certain words there are not that many of them. It's like, I don't know, maybe not even 1% of words, and I'm gonna talk about the exceptions later, but they are pronounced without making this a digraph sound. So R and Z are pronounced separately, and it's also present in words of foreign origin, especially a name like Tarzan. In Polish, it is also pronounced as RZ, not like Z. Okay, but like I said, those are kind of a small amount of those words that make the exceptions. So do not actually consider them until, of course, I tell you about it. All right, but C and H in this example here always stands for letter H in Polish. Okay, all right, so those are 2 of our 7 digraphs. Let's look at another group of digraphs. Here they are. Simple as that. C and Z stands for English C and H. Let's say, in this example, much. In English it sounds a little bit softer, but in Polish it's not. It's short sound, alright? C and Z would make the sound like t, z, but together t, right? So just need to consider that as a one short, normal length sound. S and Z makes the sound of a shake, sh, and D and Z with a dot, so d, j. They actually feels like they run together one after another, but very fast. So that's why it makes a digraph, because it sounds like a one sound of actually one of a length, because d, j would be like two sounds, but they just run together very fast and they make the sound of a j, right? So they together they make a one single sound of a length of a sound, right? Normal length in Polish. So once again, t, sh, d, right? This is actually Polish is famous for, like sh, we're doing a lot of sh and so on. But well, yeah, you just need to know that. So t, sh, d, much, shake, John, of course, roughly saying. So we have 5 of 7 digraphs here, and last 2 digraphs are here. Here they are, D and Z. It's actually kind of a equivalent of letter C, but the digraph is voiced d, because the letter D is voiced itself, d, right? So run together d, and the letter next to it is t, d, t, d, t, right? And D and Z with a slash, it's J, D and J, D, J, J, like one sound, and Ch is the voiceless sound. And what else do we have? And we have also letter D, J, right? And oh yeah, the letter D and J, I've been talking about it, but as you can see, I give you an example of letter J and J. J as a single letter, and J, Z, E, right? They, as 2 different letters, they make like 2 different sounds. J is a consonant that makes its own sound, and J, E, J. This is like 2 letters, and they stand for 2 different sounds. When you speak really fast, it's sometimes hard to recognize if this is just a consonant or a consonant and a vowel. But we're going to talk about syllables, probably in some future lessons. Well, not probably, definitely, and you will find the difference between those 2. But if you can recognize those sounds, j and j, and it's good. And the same works with D and J. So D, J. It also runs for, like, those 2 letters run together, make one sound, J. But then again, all the letters with the slash can be also written as to make some kind of a similar sound with a letter I, and the consonant with the slash is like gets rid of it. So we have like J, one sound, one digraph actually, and G, J, G. Can you recognize those 2? Once again, J, 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 G. Simple as that. Okay, so that's it. That's all about Polish, all about the sounds of a Polish language. So now you can actually go through lessons 1, 2, 3 once again, if you want to be familiar with all the sounds of Polish language. And in some couple of future lessons, we're gonna practice it. And I want you to make the effort as much as possible, because this is something that, well, like I've mentioned at the beginning, pronunciation is important in every language. That's just we all know that, but in Polish it's even more important, because in English I give you some examples that you can just like skip some letters, do not pronounce some of them, but the reason that I'm talking that much about pronunciation is that the pronunciation makes the difference, because Polish language consists of like a stem of a verb and certain endings depending on the case, number, and so on. And sometimes, those changes are really slight, and if you want to be understood in a like clear Polish way, you need to consider those endings. Sometimes the beginning of the verb, so the stem of the verb, is always the same, and there are like sometimes only one letter changes, and then you need to pronounce those letters as much with carefully, in order to make the appropriate case or something like that. Okay, so I don't know how to say this. Just pay attention to those letters as much as possible. Okay, all right. So that's it for lesson number 3. We're gonna continue with lesson number 4 and some examples, and you will finally be able to speak Polish, at least with some words, with some like simple words, and maybe try to memorizing them, although it's not necessarily useful at the very beginning. But if you feel like you can do that, that's fine. That's also a great advantage. PolishUpYourPolish.blogspot.com. You can find all the lessons right there. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for your attention. See you next time. Bye bye.